Okay, it's time to wake up. Uh, okay, today we're going to make something for lunch. We're going to make pesto mushroom. Okay, so basically it's just, I don't know, something that I want to try. I'm craving for something different today. So I have some oyster mushrooms in my ref. So I'm gonna try to make my own pesto using some basil from my garden, some basil leaves, and yeah, I had some excess cuttings from this morning's breakfast, so I thought of just making it into a quick um, pesto that I'm going to use to coat uh, the oyster mushrooms that I'm going to have for lunch. So yeah, so I'm gonna give you a rundown of the ingredients that I'm going to use. Okay, so here are the basic ingredients that we're going to be using. Some fresh basil leaves from my garden. Well, it's a little wilty now because it's been a few hours since breakfast. Some black pepper. It's not finely chopped, as you can see. There's some um, uh, whole corns there. I just, you know, pounded this in my, yeah, this, what you call this, pounder. And then for the salt, I'm going to use this lemon lemon pepper sea salt. See, so as you can see, it's like rock salt, but it has some I think infused with lemon juice and some other spices. So yeah, and of course garlic and some peanuts. I just bought them outside. It's already salted, so yeah, and some like 1 teaspoon of Parmesan cheese. And then for a little something something, we're gonna put some of this salvaje chili and crunchy garlic. So it's basically toasted garlic, but it's infused with some chilies, so it's a little spicy. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna like just, oh, I forgot something. Of course, you can't make pesto without some extra virgin olive oil. So yeah, so we're gonna just, what we do is we open up this the garlic. See, we're using just, as you can see, my ingredients are quite uh, very little because I'm just cooking for one, just cooking for myself today. So if you want to do this, you can prepare your pesto ahead of time so that when you need to have some, like for example, if you cook some pasta or cook some mushrooms again, like how I'm going to do it later, you can easily just have it ready anytime. So it's a lot quicker to prepare. Okay, just leave that. So yeah, for those of you who are curious about the kind of diet that I do, I call it the diabetic diet because basically anything, I don't eat anything that is not allowed for diabetics anymore. Like I eat very little white rice and I don't drink beer anymore. Also, uh, I avoid anything with sugar, especially the ones that we don't really realize that has them, like some of the sauces in food. And yeah, basically sauces that have them. If you can, especially when you eat out, if you can request for uh, the restaurant to not put the sauce, that would be better. Okay, so this basil, I don't think it's enough, so I think we're gonna get some more later. There, got a few more leaves. So what we're gonna do is like, okay, do the garlic first. You just cut the garlic very coarsely, so it's a little easier to pound. Okay, so just cut it like so. This is not the sharpest knife I have. It's better if you get a sharper knife. But I'm gonna be getting me a stone sharpener soon, so this should work well. I like this knife because it's not too big, so it's easier to work with, especially when cutting uh, tiny mincing vegetables. I have a bigger knife I use for like bigger leafy ones. So there, so we put it in the pounder. Put it all there. There you go. And then the basil leaves, we also like just crumple it like that and then give it a quick chop. If you can use scissors, that would be great too. So yeah, let's try to use some scissors. So it's quicker to grind. Okay. Put everything in the pounder. There. Then ideally you should crush the nuts, but just do it. I'll just do it all in the pounder. So I just put all the nuts there. Um, like a pinch of black pepper will do, or maybe a little more. Okay, and then a pinch of this lemon salt. And then just 1 teaspoon of Parmesan cheese, just put it all in. And then for some extra, just gonna put some of this garlic, roasted garlic, chili garlic from Salvaje. You can search them online. I think, yeah, they have a Facebook and Instagram from Orenza Farm. Okay, and then now we're gonna add the olive oil. So we're just gonna like, so that's maybe around 50 ml or so, 20 there. So I just like to have it all soaked like that. See, Okay, now we're gonna pound it. Cover it so the oil won't spill out. It's kind of messy. Oh, the pepper in my nose. So basically, I just want to crush it like until my basis is when all the peanuts and the garlic is like really small, same as the texture of the chili garlic that we put in. So yeah, it's gonna be sticky with the hands. Oh, and by the way, this is the first time that I'm doing this recipe, so you're all gonna find out if this turns out nice or not. Okay, so I just thought of like shooting myself so that the effort that I make doing this, well, if you if you see this posted, then it's probably okay, but otherwise, well, I might still post it, but I'm gonna say that it wasn't that successful, or like, we can I can suggest adjustments to the recipe. So see, usually when making pesto, people use uh, a blender or a food processor, but I like my pesto a little more with texture, so it's not very processed looking, like too much of a puree. So there, see, it's it's a little getting there. Let's have to crush some of the garlic. And if you want to make more, you just you know you can always just increase or multiply the ingredients that I used to make more of this. I'm not much of a fan of like exact uh, exact amounts. I usually play it more by ear or by feeling, just like I do my music. I'm not much of a note reader type of guy. I'm more into the free flowing jam style, if you will. So there, almost there. Just checking out some more big chunks. Okay, there. I think this should be okay. So just gonna set this aside, and then we're going to prepare our mushroom. Okay, now we're going to do the mushroom. I'm gonna saute the mushroom. So it's just going to be a quick saute. So we're going to use the oyster mushrooms here. This is about 1 cup. or depending on how many you're willing or you want to eat. And then I chopped some red onions. So we're just gonna saute it, and then I'm just gonna use the olive oil for just the quick saute. I'm using just a little anyway. And of course the pesto that we made earlier. So okay, start the fire. This is I'm using a induction compatible cast iron skillet. So I'm gonna add the some oil, just a little, enough to wet the pan because you don't need too much oil. Your pesto has enough oil already, so it's just to quick saute the onions. Okay, so wait till it warms up. You see some bubbles and some white smoke. You're ready to put. Oh, there. See some smoke. Now we're gonna put the onions. You don't have to saute too long. Just when you see it a little starting to yellow a bit and soften, then you, yeah, there. See, it's very quick. Now you can add your mushrooms. So basically, the mushrooms, you just actually saute them or cook them quickly so that any bacteria or germs in their skin is killed, but not too much so as to like overcook it. See, so you can also let's season our mushrooms a bit. So we're gonna add a pinch of salt. We're using the same salt as earlier, the lemon sea salt. Pinch of paste and some black pepper. There. Give it a stir again. Quick stir. And see, you can see that the mushrooms are softening now a bit. So when you see it softened like that, we're gonna get some of our pesto. So depending on how many you're cooking, I'd say like about a spoonful for this much is enough, or maybe a spoon and a half. There. Smell of garlic is really there, and then you just stir it up so the pesto, lower the temp a bit so that the pesto will stick to the mushroom. There. So it's that quick. It's ready. Okay, I'm gonna set it aside for a bit. I'm gonna get our rice and we're going to plate it. Okay, we have our red rice, and here is our. Just put it in the plate like that. And there you go. It's mushroom pesto or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to call it yet. Just I'll just put it here. So I'll call it that. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna eat it in a few and gonna find out how it tastes. Okay, so we're going to try the mushroom that we cooked with pesto. The saltiness is just right. However, I don't think we put enough pesto. Well, you can always add. I'm gonna get some more from, yeah, just a little more. And the garlic is really very nice because it's fresh, so it's more potent. There, add some more pesto, and then we just mix it more. So let's taste the pesto. Okay, so fresh basil really makes the difference with making pesto. And of course, depending on the kind of nuts that you use, you can use cashew or whatever nuts. Then of course the garlic. There you go. So I'm having red rice because red rice compared to white rice has a lower glycemic index, which is actually what we diabetics should be looking out for. Food that have high glycemic index include like potatoes. Well, actually, depends on how you're going to cook it, but relatively it has a high glycemic index. So I try to avoid cooking with potatoes. If if needed, I use sweet potato. Although it's called sweet potato, it's really it has lower glycemic index than regular potato. So yeah. So another other things that I avoid eating nowadays since I was diagnosed diabetic, aside from white rice, are anything with sugar. So that's why if you watched the my other video about all my kitchen essentials that I use for cooking, the condiments and stuff, I don't use sugar. I use 100% pure honey to sweeten anything that needs to be sweetened. The punch of the black pepper that's just not very finely crushed or ground gives it a little kick. And also once in a while I get a bite of that crispy chili garlic that we added. So there are all kinds of different elements playing in your mouth every every time you take a bite. So yeah, thank you for watching. We hope to make more to it. Well, technically I'm just like playing around with some recipes. I'm not really a chef. I'm not even like a real cook. I just know how to cook basically. So if you know the basic stuff about cooking, you can always play around with the ingredients and try to make up something that can, excite your palate. And sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed, but what matters is that you try, and who knows, you might hit the jackpot, or like, not, but at least you tried. See, so like I always say, should always try to live the best life that we can, and every day we should wake up and live. Hi, I am Caioman, and you just watched Caioman's Garden Kitchen. That's it. Check out my other videos. Oh, and if you haven't watched the primer, yeah, watch it too.